Well, let's take a look at using the VI IMAQ Read LCD to read the display of a digital multimeter, or a DMM. Right now I'm using the Machine Vision app template, and I'm looking at the meter display with the webcam right now. Let's take a look at the image analyze state. Look under Vision and Motion, find Machine Vision, and then the instrument reader, specifically IMAQ Read LCD. Just mention that this is not available inside Vision Assistant, so that's why we need to do this outside of Vision Assistant. Let's take a look at the quick help on the VI. You supply a reference to an image buffer, and then you can choose whether or not you're looking at an LCD or LED style display. You need to provide a region of interest, and then you have some additional options for searching for sign or searching for decimal separator. You can then see the segments as read, the interpreted output value, and then the output read out as a string. So we'll explore a number of these different connections here. Let me begin by connecting the image buffer reference to the output of the Vision Assistant Express VI. I need to use a property node to fetch the region of interest from the main image display. And the property specifically of this image display is located right here. That's the region of interest. Let's get this properly hooked into the air cluster. And then I'm going to switch to the front panel and define the compound region of interest. It's based on the rectangle ROI, and I'll draw the first contour. And now I'm pressing the Control key and holding that down as I draw the additional 3 contours. You can experiment with locations, but in my experience, it's best to actually draw the contours more or less on the inside of the segments, as I'm drawing right now, rather than enclosing the entire digit inside the contour. Now that region of interest read from the main image display, again, it's a compound ROI with multiple contours. We just simply feed that into IMAQ Read LCD. Let's also establish the air cluster connections for this VI. Next, I will create an indicator for each of the 3 outputs. The first is the output rendered as a string. The second is the interpreted value as a numeric. And the third is a cluster indicator that shows you the status of the segments as read directly. That way we can see whether or not it's interpreting the segment as being on or off. I've changed my mind on where to connect the image reference. I'm going to use the actual source image directly from the webcam. This looks like a problem. IMAQ Vision invalid image type. All right, at this point I'm reminded that IMAQ Read LCD needs to use a grayscale image instead of a color image. Let me open up the Vision Assistant Express VI. And extract luminance is already there. That's great. The filter we don't need, so I'll take out that filter step. And now I can use the output of the Express VI. So the output image is going to be the original color image, but now converted to grayscale, again, which is required by this particular VI. Let's go ahead and rerun that again. All right, this looks promising. 0089, that matches what we see on the DMM screen. We see it as the interpreted value and as the output string. Now, if 89.0 doesn't suits you, you can enable the search decimal point feature, and then the VI will look for decimal points in between those ROI contours. Let me clear the ROI and show you something. Okay, it immediately halts and it says invalid ROI. The problem here is that the VI must have a valid ROI. All right, when we cleared it, then the ROI becomes essentially an empty cluster. ROI is really a cluster of two elements, the global rectangle and then an array of contours. In our case, there would be 4 contours. And if that goes empty, then the VI cannot run. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to use unbundle by name, and I'm going to look at that global rectangle and then use the comparison feature that checks to see if this array is empty or not. This produces a Boolean signal, which I can then use as the selector for a case structure. I'd like the case structure to be set up such that if the check on empty array comes up to be false, that is, if something is there, we have a valid ROI, then we go ahead and run the VI. If it's empty, that is true, then nothing should happen. So I'll take the case structure selector and wire that in this way. And so now we check to say, is there a valid ROI to be looked at? And if so, go ahead and run the VI. If there is no ROI, then we don't do anything, and I'll just pass the error cluster straight through. All right, let's try this version. All right, good. We see that the application runs just fine, even if there is no ROI defined whatsoever. And to finish this off, let me point out that you could, if you like, you can check one digit at a time, as I'm doing right here. Or again, you hold down the control button and define your multiple contours for the compound ROI. And we're in business. Looks good.